Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome back. You're tuning into episode 5, and today we're diving deep into a topic that touches all our lives: time management. Get ready to uncover strategies and insights that will help you reclaim your precious hours and boost your productivity. Let's make every moment count. Our mission with this deep dive really is to give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed on managing your most precious resource, time. We've pulled together insights from a comprehensive training manual and also a practical guide to some time management applications to do just that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because time management, it's far more than just calendars and to-do lists, isn't it? It's fundamentally about setting priorities and crucially taking charge of yourself in relation to time. So we're going to explore various skill sets that support this from, personal motivation and effective delegation, even how to manage unexpected crises.
Okay, so we often hear that goal setting is foundational, but, it's also one of those things people often skip when they're really busy. So for someone feeling totally overwhelmed, why is starting with goals actually the most critical first step, not just another thing to add to the list?
That's a really great question because if we connect this to the bigger picture, goal setting is just a fundamental life skill. Yet it's incredible, fewer than 3% of people actually have clear written goals with a concrete plan to achieve them. So just by doing this, by engaging in this process, you instantly put yourself ahead. It really emphasizes the importance of, well, personal responsibility for your life, owning your direction.
Right, taking control.
Exactly. And our sources highlight what they call the 3 Ps for effective goal setting. First, your goals should be positive. They should make you feel good. Think, enroll in pre-law classes so I can help people, rather than avoid a boring job. Second, they need to be personal. They have to reflect your dreams, your values. Always use I, make it yours. And third, they must be possible, realistic, within your control. Aim high, sure, but make sure it's something you can actually achieve.
That makes a lot of sense. Positive, personal, possible. And then there's the famous SMART way to refine those goals even further, right? Give them structure.
Exactly. SMART. It's an acronym. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timed. A goal needs to be specific. As Jack Canfield says, vague goals produce vague results. You need clarity. It should be measurable so you can track your progress objectively. Keep yourself motivated. Achievable means it stretches you, yeah, but isn't totally unrealistic. Relevant, this is key. It means it aligns with your core values, your life purpose. That's where the real happiness comes from. And finally, timed. Setting a deadline is just crucial. It creates that urgency. Get your subconscious working on it too.
That structured approach sounds incredibly practical. We even have a case study here, Margaret and Rachel, who used the SMART way for their business. They saw profits were down mid-year, so specific goal: increase revenue by 10%. Measurable, track it monthly, attainable by year end, relevant, obviously, for their business's survival, and timed with a December deadline, and it helped them turn things around.
And it's not just about writing them down. Our sources really emphasize the power of emotional connection, visualization, like using a vision board, maybe, pictures that really resonate with your goals, and truly emotionalizing your goals, focusing on how achieving them will make you feel. That creates this incredible desire that drives you.
Okay, so once we've got those clear, maybe even visualized goals, the next challenge, and maybe the biggest one, is how do we actually prioritize the time
Yeah.
in our already packed schedules?
Right. This is where we shift from what we want to achieve to how we manage ourselves. And one incredibly powerful tool for this is Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule. Basically, 80% of your results tend to come from just 20% of your actions. So the critical step here is to analyze where you're currently spending your time and then, well, ruthlessly focus on that crucial 20% that yields the most impact.
That vital few.
Exactly. And building on that, we have the urgent important matrix. Stephen Covey made it famous, but it comes from an Eisenhower principle. It helps us distinguish between what's important activities that really move you toward your goals, high impact stuff, and what's merely urgent, things demanding immediate attention, often driven by someone else's goals, not yours.
Okay, so how does that matrix work?
Well, it breaks tasks into 4 quadrants. First, urgent and important. These are your genuine crises, pressing problems, hard deadlines. You have to do these now. Second, important, but not urgent. This is where the magic happens, really. Opportunities, planning, skill development, long-term value. This is where effective time management lives because you proactively plan for these. Third, urgent, but not important. Think maintenance tasks, routine interruptions, some emails, calls. You want to delegate these, postpone them, or just cut them short. And finally, not urgent and not important, pure trivia, distractions, avoid these. Just a word of caution, though. Be careful not to mislabel crucial things like family time or self-care as not important here.
That matrix is really helpful for sorting our own tasks. But what about when other people's urgent tasks land on our plate, threatening to derail our whole day?
Ah, yes. That brings up being assertive. It's often about using what's called a positive no. It's about declining effectively without, burning bridges. You can say no with an honest, brief explanation like, I can't take that on right now. I have a project due at 5. Simple. Or offer an alternative. I don't have time today, but how about tomorrow morning? Sometimes for, let's say, more aggressive people, just an assertive refusal, maybe repeated calmly, is needed. The goal is setting boundaries respectfully.
Yeah, I can see how that takes the pressure off. We have this case study, Elizabeth, drowning in paperwork. Her coworker, Annabelle, helped her use the matrix. Elizabeth literally made 4 piles: crises, important tasks to plan, things to postpone, and distractions to toss. Just categorizing it gave her clarity, and she got through it all by the end of the day.
Okay, so goals set, priorities clear, using things like the matrix. Now, the daily execution. How do we move from constantly reacting to fires to actually being consistently productive?
It's funny. Sometimes the simplest tools are the most effective. One excellent strategy is the productivity journal. Seriously, just a basic spiral notebook, maybe one for work, one for personal life. You write down your tasks, prioritize maybe the top 3, cross them off as you go, carry over what's left. And Brian Tracy has great advice here. Write your list the night before. It lets your subconscious kind of work on it overnight. You wake up more prepared. Also, a key insight. If you find yourself pushing a task forward 3 times, it probably doesn't belong on the list anyway. Might be time to delete or delegate it. The productivity journal sounds simple.
Yeah.
Grounding. But what about those days, and I think we all have them, where it just feels like total chaos? Everything seems urgent and important. How do you fit it all in?
For those days, the glass jar analogy is perfect. Think of your day as an empty glass jar. You have rocks, pebbles, sand, and water to fill it. You put the rocks in first. These are your absolute most important, high-priority, goal-oriented tasks, your big wins. Then you fill the spaces between the rocks with pebbles. These are still urgent and important, but maybe contribute less directly to your big goals. After that, you pour in the sand. These are the urgent but not really important routine tasks. Necessary, maybe, but lower priority. And finally, you avoid filling the rest with water, the trivial time wasters, the distractions. By planning this way, rocks first, you ensure the big, impactful things actually get done. It seriously reduces stress and increases focus.
The glass jar helps get the big things in. But what if one of those rocks feels more like a mountain? A huge, daunting project that's just overwhelming. Where do you even start?
Yeah, we all face those. For big projects, use the chunk, block, and tackle approach. First, chunk it down. Break the huge project into really specific tasks, ideally things you can do in less than, say, 15 minutes. Makes it feel much less scary. Second, block out time. Schedule specific times in your day, preferably early when your energy is high, to work only on those chunks, no interruptions. And third, tackle. Focus completely on one chunk at a time, single tasking. This method helps you build momentum and make steady progress, even on massive undertakings.
We saw this with John in the case study. He kept bringing office work home because projects felt too big to even start at work. His coworkers suggested chunk, block, tackle. John broke things down, blocked out focus time early in his day, and tackled each piece individually. Big difference. He finished work at the office and got his evenings back.
And related to this, there's the ready, fire, aim philosophy. It's so important. Most people get stuck in ready, aim, 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 just endless planning, never starting. That's just procrastination in disguise. Instead, get ready, then fire. Just take action, even if it's not perfect. Remember, the 80-20 rule, imperfect action often gets you most of the way there. Then, aim again. Adjust your course based on what you learned from actually doing something.
That idea of taking action, even imperfectly, leads us straight to that common enemy, procrastination.
Oh.
Why? Why do we put things off that we know we should be doing?
Oh, there are quite a few common culprits. Sometimes there's just no clear deadline, right? So no urgency. Other times we feel we have inadequate resources, not enough time, money, information. Maybe we simply don't know where to begin or the whole task feels overwhelming. A lack of real passion for the work is a big one too. Or even, believe it or not, a fear of failure. Or sometimes even a fear of success.
Fear of success, that's interesting.
It is. But bottom line, your ability to pick your most important task and just do it. That'll be the single biggest predictor of success. Our sources list 9 ways to overcome procrastination. You can delete it. Seriously, consider the consequences if you just didn't do it. Often, it falls into that low-impact 80%. You can delegate it. Is it really yours to do? do it now. Just rip off the Band-Aid, avoid the anxiety buildup. Ask for advice. Get insight from a mentor to get unstuck. Chop it up. Break it into ridiculously small steps, like under 15 minutes. Always to pick in. Have clear deadlines. Write them down. Tell someone for accountability. Give yourself a reward. Positive reinforcement works. And finally, remove distractions. Create an environment where you can actually focus.
Speaking of tackling those tough tasks, Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog concept is almost legendary now. What's the core idea there? Why is it so impactful?
It's such a powerful metaphor, isn't it? Your frog is that one big, important task, the one you're most likely to procrastinate on. The advice is simple. Eat that frog first thing every single morning. Don't think about it, just do it. And if you happen to have two frogs, eat the ugliest one first. It's about building the discipline to start immediately and persist until it's done. It really stops you from confusing mere activity with actual accomplishment, which is critical, especially in business. Yeah. Results matter.
Right. Activity versus accomplishment. We see this with Jacob, who really struggled with procrastination. Unlike his friend Brian, faced with a mountain of paperwork, Brian helped Jacob delegate half, then break the rest into smaller goals. By removing distractions and just tackling those smaller pieces, Jacob met the deadline and felt way less stressed. Brian even bought coffee, rewarding the action. Okay, so we've talked about mindset, goals, daily tactics. Let's shift to the physical environment. How much does our actual workspace impact our ability to manage time and focus?
Oh, it has a huge impact, a really huge one. Think of organizing your workspace not as a chore, but as an investment. It pays off massively in saved time and reduced mental clutter. Our sources suggest starting with decluttering. This means sorting files into basically three types: working files, stuff you use often; reference files, things you need occasionally; and archival files, stuff you rarely need but have to keep. Simple organization, like alphabetical labels or color coding, makes finding things way faster. The goal is a clear desk, essential tools only, everything else filed away. Less visual noise.
Okay, decluttering is step one. Then what?
Then you manage workflow with the 4Ds. The idea is to touch each item, whether paper or digital, only once if possible. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it right then. If it's trash or junk, delete it, or file it if it's useful reference material but not urgent. If it's not quick or a high priority, defer it, schedule time for it later. And if it's not actually your task to do, delegate it. And for those really overwhelming tasks, there's a fun acronym, STING yourself. Select one task. Time yourself, maybe an hour max. Ignore everything else, take no breaks. And give yourself a reward when it's done, like a focused power hour.
Sting yourself. I like that. What about a digital clutter, especially email?
Dealing with email. Batching is key. Handle emails at scheduled times, maybe 2-3 times a day, not constantly reacting to notifications. Encourage people sending you mail to use specific subject lines. Use your email software's features, folders, rules to auto-sort, flags, and be ruthless about deleting junk regularly. As for using calendars, keep it simple. Organize reminders, appointments, due dates into just a few calendars, whether paper or digital. An annual calendar broken down by responsibility areas can also be super helpful for big picture planning.
We saw this play out with Kevin. His desk was a mess, work was piling up. His colleague Rob stepped in, they decluttered, filed everything. Then they organized Kevin's schedule by tracking projects. It helped him prepare, avoid feeling overwhelmed. Now Kevin works much more effectively. It was that initial investment in organizing.
And this all leads naturally into how technology can support these principles. Because let's face it, digital distractions are a huge time drain. If you've ever actually tracked your time, you know how easily hours just vanish online. This is where apps become really powerful allies. They help you implement that avoid water idea from the glass jar. Tools like Rise, that's Rise with a Z, they give you the cold, hard data on where your online time really goes. It shows you exactly where you might be lacking focus. It can be a real eye-opener. Even productivity gurus like Ali Abdaal recommend it.
So tracking where time goes is one thing. What about actively blocking distractions?
Exactly. Other apps do just that. Freedom, for instance, blocks distracting websites and apps across your devices. You can set up focused work sessions or even routine blocks. Session is another app focused on getting you into that deep work state, using timers and analyzing your focus patterns to help you build the habit. Then there's stuff for saving mental energy. 1Password securely manages all your passwords, less time resetting, less brain power wasted. Raycast acts like a super-powered search bar for your desktop, connecting to your calendar, to-do apps, streamlining navigation. And if you struggle with accountability, Flown connects you to virtual co-working sessions. It's called body doubling, and it's surprisingly effective for focus, plus it combats isolation. Finally, for those who like bundles, SetTap offers a subscription to over 240 productivity apps, which can save money compared to buying them all individually.
Okay, so we've covered personal strategies, organizing our space using tech tools, but so much of our work involves other people. How do we effectively leverage collaboration, especially delegation, to multiply our output and, well, reclaim time?
Right. Delegating made easy. This is so key. Done right, it's a total win-win. It expands your capacity and it helps develop your team members. You should think about delegating when a task offers a real growth opportunity for someone else, or if it's a recurring task where the initial training effort pays off long term. But don't delegate tasks that are absolutely critical to your project's core success or things that are fundamentally your management responsibilities.
Makes sense. So how do you choose who to delegate to?
Good question. You need to consider their experience, obviously. Do they
Yeah.
need training? What's their work style? Does it fit the task? What are their career goals? Can this help them? And, crucially, what's their current workload? Don't overload them. Be patient, especially at first. Someone learning might take longer initially, but they'll get faster. And always try to delegate to the lowest possible organizational level. Often, the people closest to the actual work have the best insights.
Okay, so you've picked the task and the person. How do you actually hand it over effectively?
This involves understanding different levels of independence, sometimes called spheres of independence. It ranges from wait until told all the way up to initiate action and report periodically. Your goal is usually to move the delegate towards more independence over time. Critically, you must match responsibility with the necessary authority for them to do the job. But, and this is vital, the ultimate accountability still rests with you, the manager. To keep control without micromanaging, brief them clearly upfront, set up regular brief updates, and encourage them to bring you solutions or recommendations, not just problems. And finally, the importance of full acceptance. Only accept work that meets the standard. Don't fix sloppy work yourself, have them redo it. That's how they learn. And always, always recognize and reward their effort when they do well.
That need for clear communication really comes through in the Mary and Dave case study. Mary got stuck on a project Dave delegated because she wasn't clear on the next steps. Just as she was about to email him feeling frustrated, Dave proactively messaged her offering guidance. Mary immediately replied, clarified what she needed, and boom, delivered an excellent result. That manager support made all the difference. Moving on to daily rhythms, the word ritual can sometimes sound a bit rigid, maybe restrictive, but our sources suggest that establishing daily rituals can actually create more spontaneity and freedom. How does that work?
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? But routines, by handling the predictable parts of life almost automatically, actually free up your mental and emotional bandwidth. That leaves you more energy for unexpected opportunities, creativity, or just enjoying the moment. A ritual is simply any practice or pattern of behavior regularly performed in a set manner. You can build one in 3 easy steps. First, identify the task you want to ritualize. Second, identify the time or the trigger for it. Third, identify the specific subtasks involved. And the key is flexibility. A ritual isn't set in stone. You can tweak it whenever needed.
What kind of rituals are most foundational?
Our sources really emphasize ritualizing sleep, meals, and exercise. These are the bedrock of energy and focus. For sleep, have a consistent wind-down routine, aim for regular bedtimes. For meals, maybe plan your grocery list for the week every Sunday. For exercise, find a consistent time that works. Maybe a morning workout, maybe using part of your lunch break. Consistency is key. Other example rituals could be batching your email and news checks, like we discussed, or doing a quick productivity journal review midday and end of day. Preparing your clothes or lunch the night before is another simple but powerful one. Ultimately, using rituals to maximize time means that as you get more efficient with the routine stuff, you suddenly find these little pockets of free time opening up. These moments can then become triggers for other quick productive activities, reading a few pages, doing some quick stretches, tidying one small area, updating your journal, running a quick errand.
Linda's story illustrates this so well. She's check email, Facebook, news, constantly losing track of time. So she created the simple ritual. Check work and personal sites only 3 specific times a day. That's it. By sticking to it, she reclaimed hours and got way more accomplished.
Okay, let's talk about something that eats up huge amounts of time in many workplaces. Meetings. Often seen as a necessary evil, right? How do we make them actually productive?
Yeah, and before we even get into running a meeting, the first question has to be, do we even need this meeting?
Exactly, that's step 0. If a meeting is necessary, then use the P8 approach. Purpose, agenda, and time frame. The purpose needs to be crystal clear, stated in one short sentence. This helps people decide if they even need to attend. The agenda is the absolute backbone. Build it in advance, send it out, use it to stay on track during the meeting. And the time frame, keep it tight, an hour max, ideally less. We even suggest scheduling 50-minute meetings, start 5 past the hour, end 5 before. Gives people breathing room between meetings. For building the agenda, list discussion points, estimate time for each, note who's leading each point, send it out 2-3 days ahead, get feedback, send the final version 24 hours before.
So you have the PAT set up. How do you keep things on track during the meeting itself?
You keep things on track by actively using that agenda. Post it visually if you can. Review it quickly at the start. Take minutes using the agenda as the framework. As the chairperson, your job is to be the timekeeper. Be strict, but fair. If an item starts running long, don't just let it drift. Intervene. Ask the group. Okay, we're running over on this point. How do we want to handle it? Cut discussion short. Reduce time for another item. Table this for offline follow-up. Schedule another meeting. Involve them in the decision. And at the end, confirm agreement that all items were covered sufficiently. Finally, make sure the meeting was worthwhile. Send out a summary promptly afterwards with clear action items, who's responsible, and due dates to everyone who attended.
Gemma's experience really showed that dynamic time management in action. She was chairing, one item ran over. Instead of just cutting it off, she paused, asked the group how they wanted to proceed. They chose to extend that item slightly and shorten another. By involving them, she kept the meeting productive, and everyone felt heard.
Right. And given how much time meetings can consume, even well-run ones, what are some good alternatives to meetings? When can we achieve the goal without pulling everyone into a room?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
But you mentioned before, even with these alternatives, things like the PA tie approach, clear purpose, maybe an agenda, definite action items are still crucial. Why is that?
Because the core principles don't change. Clear communication, agreed upon goals, defined next steps, those are vital for any productive collaboration, whatever the format. So, alternatives include things like instant messaging and chat rooms. Good for quick questions or discussions with remote teams, but they still benefit from a clear topic and maybe some ground rules. Teleconferencing offers more personal connection than chat, allows screen sharing, whiteboarding, recording better for more complex discussions. For ongoing conversations that don't need immediate real-time back and forth, email lists and online groups like a Slack channel or Teams group work well, but usually need a moderator to keep things focused. And then you have more sophisticated collaboration applications, things like SharePoint, Google Workspace, Asana, Trello. These are powerful tools for managing projects, sharing documents, and peer review, often replacing the need for many status update meetings.
Vivian's case study fits perfectly here. She needed to hold meetings with people scattered everywhere. Her supervisor, Paul, suggested using a chat room instead of trying to wrangle schedules for a call. Vivian was worried about keeping it focused, but Paul helped her structure it, basically applying principles to the chat format. It worked great. And that brings us toward the end of another really insightful deep dive. Wow, we've covered so much ground. From the absolute foundation of setting and prioritizing goals using tools like SMART and the Eisenhower Matrix, through all those practical strategies for daily productivity, like the productivity journal, the glass jar, chunk, block, tackle, and importantly, battling procrastination, all the way to optimizing our physical and digital environments, using apps smartly and leveraging the power of delegation. It's really clear that managing time isn't just about, managing a clock. It's so much more about managing ourselves, our focus, and how we interact with the world around us.
Absolutely. And if you connect this all back, it really boils down to making conscious choices about your most finite resource. I love this quote from Harvey Mackay. Time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can never get it back. It really makes you think, doesn't it? So maybe the important question for you listening right now is, what's just one small, actionable step you can take today, right after this, to start reclaiming a little bit of your time?
A powerful thought to end on. And that brings us to the end of another insightful episode. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 5 on time management. We really hope you found these strategies helpful and maybe even inspiring. Remember, mastering your time is definitely a journey, not a destination. So keep practicing, keep refining your approach. What works best for you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you found this valuable. Until next time, take care and make the most of your moments.